right, here we are in New Mexico, and I've stopped to grab a geocache. I just thought I'd show you the panorama here. We've got mountains kind of all surrounding us, but looks like we're in a valley. So we're not actually going up and down any mountains. Here's something we haven't seen yet. I've seen a lot of these. Sorry, I'm kind of ran to the car and back. This very prickly cactus. Not quite sure what variety this one is, but I've seen a lot of these along the roadside. There's another one over here that's a lot more familiar to me, and that's a prickly pear over here. Maybe these are both prickly pears, I'm not really sure, but this looks a whole lot more like the prickly pears we had in Florida. Once again, just listen how quiet it is. You can hear cars coming from like 10 miles away, I think. I've only passed a couple of cars in the last half hour. And over here, there's a geocache. And you know, it seems like each place kind of has their own style of how they hide caches. Different types of tree hides and that kind of thing. This one is just freaking out in the middle of the ground without being hidden. I guess there's not really any place to hide it, but there you go. Geocaching, New Mexico style. All right, I gotta drop a trackable here and then back to the car. about the most interesting thing I've seen for the last couple of hours. Over on the right, and it might be visible and it might not be visible. You'll see there's a big black stripe kind of on the edge. I'm moving in, with perspective, and that is actually a border fence. It doesn't look like it's made of metal or wood. It looks like it's made of some kind of mesh. But there's barbed wire on the top, and it goes for miles and miles and miles. I can see it disappearing over the hills in front of me. There's a lot of border activity here, as you might imagine. A lot of about every third car is a border patrol car. Yeah, as far as fencing goes, it doesn't look all that sturdy. I think people would be easily able to climb over it or dig under it. But otherwise, New Mexico does not have the charms that Arizona does to me. It's a much more, I don't know, flat and featureless kind of place than Arizona. See a lot of cows, but otherwise not a lot of wildlife. I've seen a couple ground squirrels, some different birds, but nothing too amazing. I've been kind of looking out for roadrunners, and I haven't seen any. I do know they're supposed to be here, but not seeing any. I guess I'll turn the camera back on when something interesting is in view. Don't know if you guys can see it, but I've got the entire city of El Paso spread out before me, coming down from the mountains. It's a pretty sight. Kind of hazy though. It's hard to see the mountains, but El Paso was my stop for the night. Continue on in the morning. So I believe that I'm going to sign off for this episode. We'll see how that works in the edit.
Welcome to Texas.
Yeehaw. Okay, so we're finally kind of past the El Paso conurbation, and we're in the more rural part of this area. Where I'm driving right now is I'm just past San Alzario, not quite to the next town yet, and I do have the border, and I can see the border fence from here, though I don't think you can see it. No, I don't think you can see it because of buildings and things in the way. But there is the border fence is about maybe a half a mile to my right, so we're pretty right up against the wall here, as it were. So far, Texas is so much different than New Mexico. You remember, how New Mexico looked, and compare it to this. This is just, farmland, and it's all green, and there's trees and stuff. And we're only 20 miles away from where we were in the desert. I think it goes back to what I was saying in a prior episode about how each place has its own unique feel and its own unique look. And that's certainly true of Texas when compared to Arizona and New Mexico. I will say that this is the first rain that I've encountered on this trip. Looks like I'm going to be through it very quickly, though. saw back there is what you actually think you saw back there. That's the closest we've come yet to the border fence. It's kind of veered off now and at a kind of a sharp angle, but yeah, we were literally just within a few yards of it there. I'm a little reluctant to go up and touch it. The last thing I need is trouble with the border patrol, and there's plenty of the border patrol still around. Not as many as I saw in Arizona and New Mexico, but they're still here. And as you can see, there are parts of this border that are not fenced, so there is no barrier. So there you go.